you and living, and we're looking at healthy food. Yes, not enough to just exercise, but healthy food. Now, the importance of eating healthy cannot be overemphasized, yet the need to keep reminding everyone is also key. On the program today, we'll discuss the necessity. What is healthy? And why and how can
Can you?
you know,
What is a balanced diet?
what is a balance?
All that kind thing.
All that kind thing.
Nothing, you know.
One of our guests was talking about we cook our food in Nigeria.
We overcook.
In fact, that's one of the things we say is saving us from a lot of
Thank
illnesses.
you.
So, now we're talking healthy food. How do we balance out eating healthy and then the ones you cook to ensure that you also are staying healthy? So, here in the studio, we have Bode Agbe Davies, who's a certified health coach. Thank you for joining us. Also here is Damilola Olamodi, who's a health and wellness coach. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
Welcome. You guys are
They both look healthy enough.
Okay, let me begin with you, Damilola.
Okay.
When you say healthy food, what do you mean?
Okay. Thank you so much. You know, usually if you have a car, okay, and the car is supposed to run on diesel, okay, if you had a bit of petrol to it, I read somewhere where they said that it can affect the engine, okay, damage the car. The same thing is actually true of our body. Our body is designed to run on a particular fuel. Okay, so healthy foods are foods that has been designed to be used for our body, for wellness, for vitality, for strength, for vigor. So if you take something else that is not supposed to be in your body and then you're eating it, okay, it may not be as dramatic as it would happen in a car. You know, a car, maybe the engine gets damaged immediately. But for our body, it's a process. It happens over time.
So you are damaging it slowly.
Yes. And then it culminates in a disease condition.
Okay.
Yes.
How do I know if a food is healthy or not? Is there a way I can check?
Okay, so I like that question. Seems like there's a lot of information as to what's healthy and what's not and how to know exactly. And I like to help people simplify it, right? You want to really stick to foods that are growing from the ground.
Okay.
If it is something that, you know, once you buy it or bring it from the market or the store, it's going to start to rot. So in like a 2-week period, it goes bad. So you leave like your yam on the floor.
That's the kind of thing you should be
That's
eating.
the kind of thing you should be eating.
Okay.
Foods that are going, so and that doesn't mean you can't have other foods that have a longer shelf life, but that should be the majority of what you're eating. Foods that have a tendency to start to rot after 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, right? So those are the foods you really want to be eating more of, foods that rot, foods that are coming out of the ground, growing out of the ground. That should be the majority of our foods. Yeah.
Natural foods.
Natural foods.
Okay.
So, is it when you say healthy? Does it mean raw?
I'm not saying don't cook your yam. I'm not saying
Don't cook it, don't fry it.
No.
What-
But
you know.
frying is a different topic entirely, right? But
Okay.
I'm saying that your ingredients, as much as possible, you want them to start as raw ingredients, right? So your yams, your potatoes, your pawpaw, your tomatoes, your ugu, and those kind of things. That
But
come
rice
raw.
grows from the ground.
Yes, it does. Rice is fine. So we have demonized rice. In fact, in my book, there's a whole chapter called "Rice is not the problem." It truly isn't, right? Because if you look at some populations, such as Asians, right, they used to be some of the healthiest people in the world. I don't know if that's still
And
true.
all they eat is rice.
But there's a way they eat the rice. It's balanced. There's lots of vegetables, not too much protein. Protein is actually used for taste, mostly. So there's a good balance going on there. And when you look at the way we eat rice, it's a whole lot of rice with a whole lot of stew that has a whole lot of oil and a whole lot of meat, very little vegetables. That's the problem when it comes to the way we eat rice. But rice on its own, it's not a problem. Not at all.
Okay, Damilola,
Yes.
a lot of people depend on processed foods.
Yes.
So let's talk about processed foods. And is there a way to process food and it will still be healthy?
Yes, there are ways to process food. But let me just start from this fact. The farther your food is from natural, the farther your health would be from healthy. Yes. So as much as possible, let's stick with natural.
Please
As-
clarify.
as-
Natural, not necessarily raw.
Yeah, raw. I'm referring to raw.
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 I'm referring to raw because she was talking about, and not all kind of foods that you can cook raw anyway. Like even if you are cooking them, okay, don't cook them so much because it's been proven that at the boiling point of water, about 97% of all water soluble vitamins are gone at the boiling point of water, and then about 44% of all fat soluble vitamins are gone. So what is left? It's just shaft.
Okay,
So-
look, let's take yam,
Okay.
which we have been talking about.
Okay.
So, we should cook our yam.
Yes, you can cook.
That's
your yam.
given.
Yes.
No, you said you can,
Yes, you should.
which means I can eat it raw if I want.
No, you you shouldn't eat it raw.
Okay, I should
Yes.
cook my
We
yam.
should just balance it.
Okay.
Yes,
so
we should
at
not-
what point does my yam become overcooked where it loses the nutrients I'm supposed to get out of it?
Okay, so there are some very special kind of pots that you can use to cook it. Okay, there are some very special one that will conserve the nutrients inside it. Okay, but if you are not using that kind of pot, okay, you just need to be very careful that you're not cooking it for a very long time. And one of the things that you can do is don't remove the back when you're cooking it. Do you
Aha.
understand? Yes. So that
Cook
will help
your
to
yam with the
conserve
skin.
Yes, so that will help to conserve the nutrients. So when you're done cooking, you can then remove the back and then it's ready to eat. If you notice,
So approximately how many minutes should I cook my yam for?
it depends on the type of yam. So I won't be able to say a particular minute, but just be very careful not to overcook it. And just like I was saying, if you notice, roasted yam, for instance, they taste better than cooked yam. And they don't usually add salt to it. Okay, so the one you've cooked, you are even adding salt to it, and then the roasted one is still tasting better. Why do you think it is tasting better? It is because as they are cooking it, the water gets milky, right? It is the nutrient from the yam that is dripping into the water that is making the water get milky. But for the roasted one, nothing is dripping, right? All of the nutrients are conserved in the yam, and then by the time you are taking it, it tastes better, even though you are not adding salt to it. Then the cooked one, you're adding salt to it. The roasted one still tastes better because the nutrients inside are conserved.
Cook your
Okay, you wanna
yam
say
with
somebody?
the skin. Okay.
Okay, so those are really good points, but I think also that might be a little hard for a lot of people to wrap their heads around, right? Because
ones?
honestly, I'm
There's
a
the
bit of
special
a
pots.
I'm a bit of a neat freak, right? Well, special pots are expensive too, so not everybody can buy those pots, right? And the yam thing, completely true, but
And when she says
My mind-
expensive, she means expensive.
They
But
are
those pots have been
expensive.
marketed to me, and they cost about 2 million.
they
for
come
a
with a
set.
payment plan.
Yeah. They cost about 2 million. Yeah.
I like the way she put it. They come with a payment plan.
Yes, they do.
I have a bit of OCD, so when you tell me to cook my yam without the skin, and I think about the market where I brought the yam from, even though I have completely washed it, it's just not going to happen for me, right?
No, but you've cooked it, so all the germs
I
have been
know,
killed.
again, that's why I said OCD. I have a bit of OCD. It's a problem. So there are three things I try to help people simplify this process, right? And when it comes to their meals, I talk about preparation, portion, and plating, right? So when you're talking about preparation, you want to look at the ingredients you're using to prepare your meals. Again, you want things that are as natural as possible, foods that are growing out of the ground, foods that will start to spoil after a few weeks or days. You want those foods. You want to look at the type of oils you are using and how much oil you are using. That's a big problem as well, right? So you want to
We'll come back to oils.
so
Yeah.
you want to look at those oils. You want to be using oils that are like olive oil, coconut oil. Palm oil is good. Again, we have a tendency to demonize our own things. Palm oil is fantastic. What is bad is that we use way too much of those oils. So you want to be careful of conventional vegetable oils, right? Those are not the healthiest for you. And people complain and say olive oil is expensive, coconut oil is expensive.
What about soya oil? No. Okay.
You mostly want to use these ones. And when those oils are expensive, I say good, because when it's expensive, you're not going to overpour into your food, right? You're going to be mindful of how much of it you're using, right? So you want to be aware of those things when it comes to preparation. When it comes to your portions, you want to be using smaller plates. It just sounds like something we say all the time, but it's true. And this happens to me and a lot of people. If someone gives you a large plate and they serve a lot of food, and you look at it and your first thought is, this is too much food. But because it has landed on your plate, you have a tendency to finish it.
No way.
That happens with me, and
No
it
way.
happens to a lot of people. No, really. It happens to me a lot. And some of us, it's because of just how we've been raised. We've been told you can't waste food. And so we have that mindset, right? So it lands on your plate, and you know you know you have no business finishing this food, right?
I like you have no business.
But it's landed on your plate, so you finish it, right? So you really do want to use those smaller plates. And the third thing rather is plating. So when you're plating your meals, you want half of your plate to be vegetables. So whether it is your eforiro or a salad, you want to fill half of your plate with vegetables.
Eforiro could be overcooked, but go ahead.
Well, yes, you should. So preparation again, steam your vegetables lightly to not overcook. When you're making eforiro, you put in your leaves last, and you only lightly cook that before you turn the fire off. So half of your plate vegetables, and then the remaining half, split that into two. A quarter should be your proteins, and a quarter should be your carbohydrates, as opposed to what we do where it's a lot of carbohydrates and then just a bit of the vegetables on the side. So if you think about those three things, preparation, portions, and plating, you start to see there'll be a lot of changes without necessarily even knowing the exact name of what is in words and the exact chemicals and all of that. Yeah, so just simple things you can start to do.
Madam Lola, this argument about margarine and butter.
Oh, okay.
Let's clear this once and for all.
Okay, so margarine, I prefer the butter more, really. I prefer the
No,
butter more.
we're not talking what you prefer.
Okay.
We're talking healthy food, which is healthier.
Okay, so which is healthier? The butter is healthier. The
Can
butter is
you-
healthier.
Growing up, they told us that margarine was better for us.
What
butter is
they
healthy.
advertise
So
is margarine.
our parents
Especially if you can
went out
get
and bought us those
unsalted
yellow
butter.
things, you know, whose name I'm not going to mention, because
Names, now names, please.
they told us that they were better than butter. Now we've gone full circle back
And
to
butter
butter.
is better. And you're saying that the unsalted
Yes,
butter is
unsalted
better.
is better.
No. Salted butter is bland.
At what age should we begin to think of eating healthy?
Oh, that's a very important question. Very important question, because, you know, those days, there are some diseases that are classified as diseases of the elderly. Talk about diabetes, talk about hypertension, you know, talk about arthritis. Okay, ordinarily, you should be maybe in your 50s, 60s to begin to experience some of those things. But you know what? The age limits are dropping. You know, people in their 20s, they're having diabetes.
Yeah.
People in their
I know an
30s.
I know an
Children.
18-year-old
Yeah.
that has
Yeah.
hypertension.
Yeah, even teenagers are having
Childhood
cancer.
obesity is on the rise.
Yeah.
8-year-olds.
Fast food.
Yeah.
So the point is, my recommendation is, as soon as you're landing on this face of the earth, just start eating
Start
healthy.
eating healthy.
And it starts with us parents, really.
Yeah.
It starts with us, especially the wives. You know, the need for you to understand that the best pharmacy in the world is your kitchen, right? And then,
Yeah, but these days, husbands also enter the kitchen.
yeah.
Let me tell you what happened to my second son. I never gave him sugar for the first year of his life. So on his first birthday, he was about to cut his cake, and his finger went into the icing, and he tasted the icing, and he put
Taste
both
buds.
hands inside the cake
Oh my!
and grabbed the icing. And to this day, I can't tear him away from sugar.
Wow.
It was like, this wicked woman, how come you
Deprived me
kept
all
this
my
away
life."
from me all my life? You mean this thing is so delicious?
I can understand that.
Sugar.
Yeah, sugar is addictive.
Very, very
very addictive.
And you
But
all say it's not healthy either.
Very, very addictive.
It really isn't, but here's the thing. I don't believe in an all or nothing approach. And I think an all or nothing approach is what stops a lot of people from even starting to eat healthy.
In moderation.
In moderation.
Ah.
So
Thank you.
I am a sweet tooth.
Same here.
I am a sweet tooth. But one of
Okay.
the things,
Sorry. We'll just take a quick break and we'll come back to round off on this one. Please stay with us.
Okay.
Okay, our closing moments here. In fact, we really don't have time, so let's just get your closing thoughts on this healthy food thing.
Okay. Thank you so much.
What do you do to stay and eat healthy? In 20 seconds, please.
Okay, in 20 seconds, I would say focus a lot on raw fruits and vegetables, especially for first thing in the morning and then last thing in the night. Okay, do more of your cooked meal in the afternoon. And that's very, very important, because if you do a lot of cooked meal in the night, it can affect your sleep. It can affect the process of the repair that's supposed to go through your body when you are sleeping. So you can reverse any ailments or prevent them by eating healthy. Thank you.
But what should you eat close to going to bed, or dinner, in terms of dinner, and what time should that be?
that's a complicated question because people's schedules are different. And that's one important thing about eating healthy. You also have to figure out what works for you and your schedule. And you can't follow someone who has a less busy schedule than you. Maybe someone eats healthy during the day and then they eat light at night, but you eat light during the day and you have to have one heavy meal at night. You kind of have to figure out what works for you. There's no one size fits all, and that's very important when it comes to eating healthy as well.
Okay, I wish we had the rest of the day to continue this conversation, but Bode Agbe Davis, certified health coach, and Damnola Lamido Lamodi, health and wellness coach. Thank you for sharing today with us.
Thank you for having us.